This is the Everyday AI Show, the everyday podcast where we simplify AI and bring its power to your fingertips. Listen daily for practical advice to boost your career, business, and everyday life.
Can you use AI to actually find a better job? That's one of the things that we're going to be talking about today on Everyday AI. I'm Jordan Wilson. I'm your host, and we talk about everything in the world of AI here on this show. So helping you stay up to date, everyday people to learn and leverage AI. There's always so much going on, and you can spend countless hours a day trying to keep up with what's going on in the AI world and how it affects your job and your career, or you can spend a couple minutes with Everyday AI. So before we talk about using AI in as how recruiters are doing it and how job seekers can also use AI, let's first talk about what's going on in the world that's impacting your job, your career. So let's talk about it. So a couple news pieces today. Runway just announced that they raised $141 million. So Runway, I think, is a huge company that not a lot of people are talking about. So when you think of generative AI, most people think of companies like OpenAI and ChatGPT or Google Bard, or maybe image generators like Midjourney or Dolly. But I think Runway is an underdog, and I think that they're a powerhouse. So they are a generative AI for multiple media sources, but mainly video and creating movement in your images. It's a great tool that we're going to share about more in the newsletter. Next piece of news, Microsoft unveiled that it is releasing its first professional certificate for generative AI skills. So it's doing so via LinkedIn. So make sure that you check that one out in the newsletter if you are looking to get a professional certification for generative AI. Third piece of news before we talk about AI and recruiting. So there is a draft, the draft EU legislation, kind of putting down the rules over how Europe is going to use generative AI. It's this close to passing, but now a lot of executives are starting to warn politicians and saying that it could hurt the European Union. So that's something I've always said, at least here in the US, I don't think that we're going to have rules as strict as the EU is and how they are trying to at least police the use of generative AI and what it can and can't be used for. So it's going to be interesting to see how this EU first kind of rule over AI rolls out and how it's going to affect other countries and how they look at AI and how they even govern AI. So that's it. If you want to check out more news, and we do this every single weekday, make sure you go to youreverydayai.com, sign up for the free daily newsletter. We put a ton of work into it so you don't have to be confused about what's going on in the world of AI and how it affects you. We do all of that work for you. So now I'm extremely excited. I don't think we've had a recruiter on the show yet. So this should hopefully be a treat, whether you're a recruiter out there or you're a job seeker. So let me bring on to the show our guest for today. We have Kyle Stock, who is a recruiter at Ozinga. Kyle, thank you for joining the show.
Jordan, thanks so much for having me. Super excited to be here.
Let's go. All right. We already have a couple of questions. So as a reminder, we do this as a live stream, also as a podcast. So if you're listening on the podcast later, make sure to join us live, 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. And ask some questions. So we already have hello from Dallas, Nancy Hall, I believe your coworker, Kyle. Hello from Chicago, Sayeda. Hello, long time no see. Great to have you back on the show. So if you do have a question, feel free to drop it on at any time, whether it's how recruiters can be using AI or just tips for job seekers. Make sure to just go ahead and throw that comment in for Kyle. So let's talk about it right now. So before we even put on, Kyle, our AI hat, let's just first talk about just the current landscape of jobs in general, right? I think people are worried about AI and how it might impact their jobs, but even outside of that, there's obviously been a lot of layoffs going on across the country. Before we again talk about AI, what would your advice be to people maybe who have been hit with a layoff or they just really can't find that next job?
Yeah, Jordan, the landscape, from my perspective is super super interesting. So we have this, I guess, phenomena going on where we have all these layoffs in certain industries, but we still seem to be, at an employment, or I would say an employee shortage.
Mm.
Trying to find work as a recruiter, trying to find people to come and work for our company. And so, my advice would be to a lot of these people that have been laid off is, kind of just stay the course. We at Ozinga, hit me up. We're looking for people, but in all seriousness, I would say stay the course. You know, attend any webinars you can in terms of interview prep and things like that. Grow your network as much as possible. I'm someone who is still fairly young in their career, and I never really understood the power of a network until I began my corporate career, and it really is kind of this amazing tool that people can really use. So I would really say stay the course, expand your network, things will come. And that's really all I have.
That's great. That's great advice just for any job seekers, whether, you've been recently laid off trying to get your first job or your next job. Great advice there, Kyle. So, you mentioned something outside of your network. You said there's amazing tools out there. So one amazing tool, I think, is AI. There's generative AI that can help people. So before we talk about it on the job seeker side, how do you see, just the recruiting industry using these generative AI tools, like text to image, kind of like what we were talking about, or, probably more prominently, tools like Google Bard or ChatGPT. How can recruiters use those to even improve their performance?
Yeah. So, there are just, kind of like I said, so many tools out there. I'm still discovering new ones every day. Disclaimer, I am by no means, an AI genius or savant. I am just someone who really likes to kind of see what the computer can come up with. So, but anyways, I think recruiters will definitely be using AI in the way that kind of we're using it right now. So, we're using it to kind of create cold emails. And for those of you that don't know what it is, a cold email is, if we're going after a passive candidate, someone who's not, necessarily looking for a job, we can use Bard or ChatGPT to kind of create this message, that would really be written in any tone that we want, and it can be written in the style of the recruiter. And it seems to have really great benefits. We use it for text campaigns. I've used it for LinkedIn posts. I see Rex Jameson is commenting. I've tried to get some LinkedIn posts past him, but he knows that they're written by AI. But we definitely use it for a lot of different things. In kind of what I mentioned to Jordan earlier is just I think that this could really kind of grant talent teams and HR in general a more strategic way of thinking and way of operating. So kind of this thought of, where are we going instead of where are we at now? So just kind of being part of the future and kind of going that way with AI, I think recruiters will find it very useful. Whether you're a recruiter at a recruitment agency or a corporate recruiter for a company, whatever, I think that AI and generative AI in specific could really get rid of some monotonous tasks for you. So.
Yeah. And speaking of that, because, Kyle, you just talked about a variety of ways that recruiters can use, generative AI to improve in their workflow. But maybe what's the one most impactful way that you've used generative AI to help in your workflow? And maybe if you can just briefly talk about, what that process is like without the AI, and then how much, improved or how much different it is with it.
Sure. Yeah. So I would say the biggest impact I've seen that we've used, even on our team, would be, so we have these fairly large job descriptions at Ozinga. It's a thing that, our legal department needs and our HR compliance team needs, but we feel that, the candidate doesn't really need to see that until maybe they're hired. So we feel that what they're seeing on a job posting should be more of a job advertisement. So really what we've been doing is taking these long, job descriptions and throwing them into a generative AI, whether it's ChatGPT or Bard. I prefer Bard. But anyways, so we throw it in there, and depending on the role, I usually say, to the AI, give me a fun job description that's pretty concise. And then I kind of leave it general like that at first to see what it comes up with. And then it's really kind of this give and take between the AI. I'm hesitant to say it's an art form, but it's really like this working with the AI to kind of whittle it down. So recruiters out there, this is not a tool where you can just hit enter and then copy and paste what it gives you. There was a webinar I attended to in March, and the guy said, if you put crap in, you're going to get crap out. So you have to know what you're putting in. You have to talk with the AI and kind of whittle it down to your desired response. So without AI, what we would do is really, kind of just use our creativeness and try to come up with a job ad in transparency, it's pretty comparable to AI. It just took, more time. I would be running it by, my manager, and then running it by our VP, and then making all these changes and, things like that. Whereas now it's pretty much AI does it. We make sure everybody on the team likes it, and we post it.
Yeah. Geez, speaking everyone on the team, Ozinga is showing up strong today. So a couple comments I want to throw up here. Nancy saying, great to see Ozinga Recruiting having this important conversation. Lauren, thank you for your comment. Ozinga represents. You mentioned Rex here. Yeah, network. He's saying, yes, network as much as possible. Renee, thank you for the comment. Just saying, Kyle's giving some great concrete advice. Another comment, Nancy saying learning Jordan's PPP approach is a game changer. Thank you, Nancy. Yeah, if you want more info, just drop PPP. I'll send it to you. So let's talk this. That was a lot of questions, comments. I just wanted to make sure we got those on the screen. So one thing that's really interesting, Kyle, is I think some people think of using AI as a robotic process, right? But one thing I noticed that you said is you're putting in something and saying, make this more creative. So have you seen maybe results that you weren't expecting when you were using AI? Is it almost making it, more like job descriptions for you or for Ozinga, more relatable, more personable, and the same thing with the cold email, right? Like more personalized. So are you actually getting those kind of results out of it?
Yeah. I am. And, it's funny you mentioned that there's this kind of robotic aspect that people think that it is. I guess to kind of put a long story short. So last week we had our big HR department meeting, and, I had the opportunity to present to the HR department about AI. And so I played a little game with them. I said, is it AI or is it AKI? Being me, and there was a cold email on there, and they kind of had to decipher, was it AI or was it me? And everybody pretty much thought that it was me, just given the maybe the warmness and the human touch, but it really was. It was written by Bard, and so just being surprised at even without me kind of coaching AI and saying, here's some of my writing, and write a cold email in my style. It's still able to kind of have this humanness, this human nature, not to scare anybody. Robots aren't taking over, but it is super interesting, super surprising that I can fool. I can fool some people. So,
oh, man, I love. Yeah, if you're doing it correctly, I tell people this all the time. I teach people this. Yes, you can have these different GPT powered or Bard right? Just like you. Question here from Scott. So, how are small businesses using AI to find job seekers? So in this case, we'll say, more in a corporate recruiting role,
Sure.
So Kyle, you talked about kind of on the outreach side and the job posting, but maybe how do you use it past that or, in the process once maybe you've identified people?
Yeah. So even with that, if we identify people, like I said, text campaigns are huge. If we've identified, I don't know, let's say kind of this candidate pool of maybe 3 candidates, we'll send them a text campaign, kind of just asking them some questions or even just using it for the monotonous task of setting up interviews. And then really from there, it kind of takes on a more human approach. We kind of handle it from there. In terms of really kind of moving forward with candidates, I would not say that we use AI. I personally, I don't know if it's a hot take, but this is kind of where the human touch, I think needs to come in. I think this is where we should not use AI. So up to this point, let's say we have a candidate that's being scheduled for an interview. We've used AI to recruit them. We've used AI to even maybe screen their resume and see if they're a fit for the job. This is kind of where the human connection comes in. So as a recruiter, it's my job to really hone in on the character and kind of who this person is. The resume is all good, but at the end of the day, this is like a real human being. They're not a piece of paper. Will they fit for our company? I think humans will always need to be able to make that decision rather than AI. So at Ozinga, we have this really unique culture, and I think it's because of this human deduction of really choosing their candidates or their new hires rather than AI. And personally, I don't see that part ever going away.
Are you still running in circles trying to figure out how to actually grow your business with AI? Maybe your company has been tinkering with large language models for a year or more, but can't really get traction to find ROI on Gen AI. Hey, this is Jordan Wilson, host of this very podcast. Companies like Adobe, Microsoft, and NVIDIA have partnered with us because they trust our expertise in educating the masses around generative AI to get ahead. And some of the most innovative companies in the country hire us to help with their AI strategy and to train hundreds of their employees on how to use Gen AI. So whether you're looking for ChatGPT training for thousands or just need help building your front-end AI strategy, you can partner with us too, just like some of the biggest companies in the world do. Go to youreverydayai.com/partner to get in contact with our team, or you can just click on the partner section of our website. We'll help you stop running in those AI circles and help get your team ahead and build a straight path to ROI on Gen AI.
Yeah. I love how, you're talking about the unique culture at Ozinga. You have great, like even in here, you have great team support. And I also have to throw out something random. Ozinga has the best swag around. So shout out to Ozinga's marketing department. One of my friends is always showing, all these, because he's in the industry, all these cool things that Ozinga sends out. So yes, Nancy just left a comment, writing a job ad on her own, 30 minutes, ChatGPT, 5 minutes. Great, simple way to show the power of it. So we have a former guest here, Peter. Shout out, Peter. Long question, but saying in a similar vein of cold emails by recruiters, do you think that people, so now talking job seekers, will begin to use AI to apply jobs to streamline their time so they don't have to sit there and customize resumes and cover letters? So yeah, we haven't even started to dig into that, but what's your take on Peter's question there?
Yeah, Peter, thanks for the question, man. So yeah, I really do think that people will begin, if they're not doing it already. There are just loads and loads of AI platforms out there that people don't even know about that are, creating resumes that are, just submitting them to jobs that, and I think that's kind of the essence of Peter's question. So long story short, Peter, yes, I do think people will begin to use AI. In the last sentence, you would imagine it will make a software that we use. So I'm super happy you brought that up, Peter. So we currently don't use one, but there are companies out there that do. in kind of a current event, New York kind of just banned, or actually it's going into effect next week. New York will not allow companies to use this software to kind of screen these resumes. And so it's super interesting kind of what's going on in the legal world with this, or I should say the political world. But yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. One other thing, because, I did want to kind of open the show on this. So I did want to talk to it. So, from your perspective as a recruiter, you just kind of touch this, scratch the surface with Peter's question, but how on the flip side, maybe aside from just, using ChatGPT, because I think, most or Bard, because I think most job seekers, are probably already doing that to maybe improve their resume. But maybe what are some other ways that job seekers, can use AI to get their foot in the door? So, what are some of those kind of secrets maybe from a recruiter that you can share with job seekers?
Yeah. So this, so to everybody, this is like top secret. This does not leave this room.
We're definitely not streaming this live,
So as a recruiter, we use something called programmatic advertising. And so this is a form of AI that we use to come at job seekers wherever they may be kind of living on the internet. So, and so, yeah, I mean, like I said before, it is AI. So the AI kind of comes into the budget. So I'm not going to get into that and kind of where the most responses are. But as a job seeker, I would really, really encourage you, if you're on Amazon, or if you're on another website, any website, and you see an ad for a company that's saying we're hiring, that is because the recruiters have placed that ad there to try to get you to click on it. So if you really are hurting for work, or even if you're just open to other employment, go ahead and click on those ads, explore kind of what they have. So it's really not AI per se, but it's kind of this trade secret, that I want. People usually see ads and they don't want to click on them and whatever. So I would really encourage you to click on it, because those are there for you. We're trying to recruit you, so definitely click on them.
That's a great insight there, Kyle. What other pieces of advice maybe for job seekers using AI? So maybe even you have a great way that, because it will probably make your job easier to get, more tailored resumes and cover letters. But maybe what are some other pieces of advice you have for job seekers, using AI to get their foot in the door with a recruiter?
Yeah. So, obviously the way we use AI with cold emails, you can use the same. I cannot tell you how many times, we've hired candidates, or I should say we've hired coworkers at Ozinga just because they just happened to reach out to a recruiter. That still goes a really long way. And, if you don't know what to write, you don't know kind of how to open it up or whatever, use AI. But again, don't just hit enter and then copy and paste what the response is. Read it through, make sure that it is the desired response. And, I'm as big as AI is, and as big as AI can be, I think, I still this human connection, this humanness of just reaching out and just kind of appealing to human nature. Hey, Kyle, I'm looking for work. Do you guys have anything open? That goes such a long way. And if you're doing that to a bunch of recruiters, use AI to kind of write your email in any way, or even text, or even a phone call script. If you're not the best, public speaker, or talking to new people makes you nervous, AI can write you a script so you have something to go off of when you're talking to a recruiter. So,
yeah, that's great. And I think even to that point, Kyle, is people just using it to improve, so maybe getting your original, get you as a human out there, get it in and have AI to improve it. So I don't think we have any other questions that we've gotten to, but I do have one more for you, Kyle, that maybe we can end the show on. And thank you again for all the comments. Renee just saying such great advice for job seekers. Nancy, again, if AI helps recruiters find the right candidates faster and better, it's a win-win for everyone. Agree. Leah, thank you for your comment. So thank you to everyone who's tuned in. But maybe let's end here, Kyle. So obviously both parties, recruiters, there's great use cases for AI. We talked a little bit, job seekers, how they can use it. Moving forward, how do you see this playing out on both sides? Because I think at Ozinga, I think you guys are actually, ahead of most other, companies and how you're using it. So, maybe if you can give kind of both sides advice on how, we can still use AI to get better results, but to still keep that human element. What's that one big takeaway that you have?
Yeah. So the one big takeaway I would have would be, most importantly, I would say don't shy away from AI. This is something that's kind of here to stay. I read an article the other day that's, oh, hey, that's actually my wife. Thanks, Jen. I read an article the other day, that said that this is as important to kind of the world as kind of the internet was. So this is as big of a, for lack of a better term, kind of production that is coming out. So I would say don't shy away from using it. If you're afraid to use it, I would say, learn, take classes. LinkedIn Learning is great for that. There's so many webinars. Jordan is such a great resource when it comes to this. And, I would say probably as it goes down the line, companies are probably still going to use it for, screening resumes. Candidates are still going to be using it to create resumes. And so as a recruiter, I kind of still stand by my words of it is great that you can, have an AI, generative AI to create your resume. But still, I'm looking for that person with great character that really likes to, that really loves people, that really loves their work. That is just something that AI cannot get rid of. No matter how hard people try, AI cannot feel. So, we're still after that person that, is just, this person of kind of utmost character. And I know that there are so many people out there. And again, in terms of the layoffs, in people looking for jobs, I would say, in addition to stay the course, that use AI to your benefit. Like I said, write a resume if you want to. Even you see as a recruiter, some of these people that use Indeed to make their resumes. That's a form of AI. You put in your information, Indeed spits out a resume, and then then it's done. And so. Yeah, that's really all I got, Jordan.
That was so much. I think you just hit on so many different valuable aspects, all across the board, from people in HR, recruiting, talent acquisition to job seekers and people just even trying to network. I think you had so many great, tangible takeaways for people on how to use AI. So, Kyle, thank you so much for joining the Everyday AI Show. You just were a wealth of resources for people out there. Thank you.
Thanks, Jordan. I appreciate it.
All right. So if you weren't able to type notes fast enough and weren't recording us in AI and having us summarize it, don't worry. We are going to recap and share some of the highlights of the conversation today and more about Ozinga as well. So make sure you go to youreverydayai.com, sign up for our daily newsletter. Again, we do this Monday through Friday, podcast, live stream. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time on Everyday AI. Thank you.
And that's a wrap for today's edition of Everyday AI. Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a rating. It helps keep us going. For a little more AI magic, visit youreverydayai.com and sign up to our daily newsletter so you don't get left behind. Go break some barriers, and we'll see you next time.